And you don't have to be perfect at it, but how can we improve the quality of your sleep everywhere we can so that that high quality sleep is helping you clear inflammation? Hello and welcome to the Fusionary Health podcast. It's me, your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta, and we are going to have some fun today. I decided to do a solo episode on all things inflammation and turmeric. And you might be thinking, Shivani, you have talked to me about turmeric a bunch of times. I already know all about it. Here's the thing. I was just in Philadelphia at a mini family reunion, and I got some great questions because I hadn't seen family in a long time, or this part of my family, and some family friends who knew me when I was in college came by and they were like, wait, what have you been doing? What have you been studying? And their turmeric questions were so good that I've decided to make an episode about it because these may be questions that kick around in your mind or that your family or your friends ask you when you say, hey, you should be taking turmeric for that. I heard this girl Shivani. And so this is the Turmeric FAQ episode that really dives into all the angles of all those questions that I get asked a lot. And I've been probably asked those questions hundreds of times over the last decade or so that I've been talking about turmeric as a solution. So good morning, good afternoon, welcome. Grab that cup of coffee, grab that cup of tea, get settled in, and get ready for this conversation across the breakfast table. So first question is, did you know that the same slow burning inflammation that's behind your stiff knees is now what's tied to heart disease, brain fog, and even accelerated aging? So by the time we finish this episode today, you're going to know exactly how turmeric is one solution in your toolkit that helps you douse that hidden fire that's causing so much trouble in your life. So if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, a researcher, and yep, I'm the Turmeric Ph.D. It is my favorite spice on earth, and I just think it does so much for us. And over my lifetime, I can't wait to study even more about some of the other spices out there. I love formulating and working in the world of super spices and seeing how we can fuse them together in synergistic ways to support our health and our health goals. And so let's pretend we're at this long overdue breakfast together, which I was just at in Philly. And we're going to unpack why inflammation has become this public health enemy. And it's this number one enemy, and how Ayurveda has some great tools in the toolkit to combat it. And I'm going to pull straight from my doctoral research on curcumin, but I promise to keep it digestible and easy, kind of like a spoonful of golden milk, which people talk to me about all the time. So let's kick off with Inflammation 101. What is inflammation? Well, it is your immune system's alarm system. And when there's an acute flare-up, inflammation is there to help heal us. The problem is there's this chronic, low-grade, smoldering inflammation that's damaging our tissues silently. And I think about that a lot. I'm probably weird like that, but research links that our chronic inflammation is now linked to 7 of the 10 leading causes of death. So picture this campfire that never goes out, and it eventually wraps around every beam of wood in your house, every room, everything that you love. Same thing it's doing in your body. And that's a big fear of mine, is how are we going to consistently, on a daily basis, bring in the habits we need to combat this inflammation that's causing silent damage. If it was loud, we would address it. But because it's silent, we choose not to address it. We're like, oh, it's not a big deal. Until it is. Until we get that diagnosis that's like, oh my God, now I have to turn my whole life upside down. So my hope is to consistently show you how to not have those moments in your life. So let's talk about some of the daily triggers of inflammation. Ultra-processed foods. Who doesn't love some potato chips or nachos? I'm a salty, crunchy girl. All I want is to eat that junk, but it doesn't serve my body. And so it's a frequent conversation of, well, if you're craving that, what are you really craving? Are you just dehydrated? Could a cup of tea fix this? Like, why are you reaching for the junk? Or poor sleep. How many of you don't sleep well? I know for myself, I go through seasons where I'm pushing hard in my business, or I'm traveling, or I've got a lot on my mind. All of that wrecks my sleep. So how can you bring sleep in as a number one pillar to help with inflammation? And you don't have to be perfect at it, but how can we improve the quality of your sleep everywhere we can so that that high quality sleep is helping you clear inflammation? Another daily trigger, nonstop stress. Are you stressed all the time? Is your to-do list crushing you? I know mine does sometimes. The lists are long. Like I literally take a notebook and I start a new page. And then I'm like, you had like 500 pages before that. You didn't do those. And so it's a chronic stressor in my life. Or maybe it's too many iced lattes. Maybe you're addicted to caffeine and you're just living off that caffeine and sugar rush, getting those sugar drinks instead of just plain coffee. And that's keeping you triggered and in a cortisol spike all day long or high stress mode. So let's pause for a sec. We know that a lot of these things cause inflammation. We know that the house is smoldering. But are we reaching for the extinguisher? Let's grab the extinguisher. Turmeric is definitely one powerful extinguisher when it comes to inflammation. And so let's talk turmeric for a minute and the turmeric science. The molecule that's inside of turmeric that stains your countertops, that turns the whole world neon yellow. I hear about it all the time from clients. They're like, you shipped me this bottle and now my counter is yellow. I always apologize and say sorry. Turmeric is really potent. So that is what it does sometimes. But I think it's so important that we understand how turmeric works in the body. So we don't just think of it as, oh, it's just another supplement. Just like my vitamin D I have to take my turmeric. I think the understanding here is key. So curcumin calms the NF-kappa B pathway, which is the master switch for our inflammatory genes. And we know that it downshifts pro-inflammatory enzymes like COX-2. Yep, that's the same one that targets many of our pain pills. Like that's what our pain pills target is COX-2, COX and LOX, all these pathways. And my lab work shows that curcumin sometimes needs a little help when it comes to absorption. It needs either black pepper or a healthy fat. And that's what's going to help it absorb into our system and get where it needs to go and do the job it needs to do. So the idea that it works on those master switches of inflammation is why it's been studied so much. Even when I did my PhD years ago, there were only 10,000 scientific studies on curcumin. Now there are 17,000. Imagine less than 10 years, total scientific papers, research, and clinical trials have doubled. That shows you that there's such a profound interest in why. Why? How? How can one plant do that? That doesn't make sense. And so people dive into the research like I did. That was my thought too. How can it do so much for us? That doesn't even make sense. It's just one plant. But the effect it has is multifactorial because of how it affects those master switches, NF-kappa B, TNF-alpha, and then so many pathways of COX and LOX. It affects our AMPK pathways. People are talking about that a lot when it comes to metabolic dysfunction. I spoke at a conference called A4M that I was so proud of on longevity, and I talked about how it affects our sirtuins, how it affects so many of our aging cells, cells that don't belong, zombie cells. Like it's very multifactorial in its longevity approach as well. And one thing I was thinking about today, because I've been talking to so many great women for this podcast on menopause lately, or I've been on their menopause podcasts. And as we talk about this transition into perimenopause and the transition to menopause, and then there's postmenopause, from everything that I'm seeing, I'm kind of studying it as my new favorite topic to understand, probably because I'm in perimenopause and wow, is that a journey? But as I study it, I realize the reason we're walking through perimenopause and suffering so heavily with these hormonal fluctuations, and then postmenopause, we're talking about the level of disease and issues that happens from that drop in estrogen, is because we're also walking through these doors really inflamed. We have a bucket that's already full. We've got our toxic burdens, we've got our chronic stress, and we've got our inflammation. It's the perfect storm so that when you hit perimenopause, all of a sudden you're like, why is my body not listening to me? Why is my brain affected in so many ways? Why is there no resilience, no tolerance? Why do I now have to accommodate my body? I never had to. I could just bust through and get the work done. And now all of a sudden I have to accommodate. Why do I have to recharge to have those energy gas tanks ready for what I want to do. And so I think we underestimate the importance of addressing inflammation in that journey. And then as I look around at the men going through their 40s and 50s and 60s, I wonder about a little thing called menopause. Like there's also transitions and shifts. And I've been very lucky over the last 10 years that I have a supplement company and I get to interact with so many doctors across so many fields. And so I was talking to a friend of mine who is a surgeon. I won't name what type because you guys know many of the surgeons who I love in town just through this podcast. And we were talking and he's like, yeah, things have changed. I am trying to lose weight. I am trying to do a couple things for my health. And, taking your turmeric has really helped. He's like, my cholesterol numbers have gone down. I've seen a huge shift in these areas. I don't have joint pain. Like it's been wonderful to see the different ways it's impacted my health. And so metabolic dysfunction, when we talk about our health, when we talk about our insulin resistance and these things, cardiometabolic health shifting as we age, I think it's so important that we take pauses and take moments and not just run to the doctor for blood work. That is one diagnostic tool. It's an important one. But then we also take a moment and say, where am I at? What's not going right in my life? I can tell you with my own report card, I sit down with my body on a daily, if not weekly basis. I'm like, what's going right? Okay, where do we need to recalibrate on workout, on food, on sleep, on non-toxic lifestyle? I have my 6 pillars that I teach from Ayurveda, and I check in on all of those constantly to say, we have to up in this area. We have to rest more for this area. We have to fuel in this area. And so I find that using supplements and botanicals from Ayurveda is an extra tool I add on that plate of toolkits that I have to execute what I need for my health. And so I love that turmeric has so many studies behind it. These studies typically talk about taking between 500 and 1,000 milligrams of standardized curcuminoids daily. And that's a lot of teaspoons of regular turmeric. And we're going to get into that in the FAQ section. But I highlight that because a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, okay, I want to fix my inflammation. Can I just take turmeric for that? No. Will it work? Yes. Turmeric will do the job. But if you want profound results, let's talk about taking a pill and adding lifestyle. That's where truly profound results come in. That's where we're taking the pill to really support the body and get into like a healthy state. And then we're adding in this lifestyle shift that'll seal the deal basically and get us to this place of health and wholeness and vibrancy and vitality and true longevity. That's what I want for people. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching both. But today, let's get into the turmeric FAQs because that's what today's episode is about. And I can talk for 8 hours on Ayurveda, and I'm going to do a lot more solo episodes for you guys on Ayurveda. So let's say you're at the breakfast table with me and your first question is, can't I just sprinkle turmeric on my food? And here's the thing, please do. Turmeric tastes amazing. I am Indian. It is in my food that I eat at home every single day. It's going to be in the Indian food that I eat. And we know that 1 teaspoon is going to give you some milligrams of curcumin, but the heat can degrade some of that. And I think of culinary turmeric as daily maintenance. Like its extracts are in there. It has some tools that have some firepower to them, but not enough to significantly move the needle. It's culinary turmeric. It's just what's in your food. It's like when I eat an orange, I don't think of an orange as, wow, I'm high dosing vitamin C. I'm eating an orange. It has some vitamin C benefit. When I eat a cup of yogurt, I don't say, wow, I got all my probiotics for today. That was amazing. I think, wow, that has some probiotic benefit, but I've still got to take my really mega strong probiotics to get the results that I want. So the same thing applies with sprinkling turmeric on your chicken. You are not eating enough turmeric powder to create a significant therapeutic change in the body when we talk about the power of turmeric supplementation. You're talking about like a mouse and an elephant when it comes to the impact and the change that we can create in the system by truly extracting the curcuminoids at the right proportion and the right potency and that right dosage. So the next question I get from people a lot is, what if I just juice my turmeric? So for years, when I was trying to share my supplements with people in the early years, I would go to all these yoga events because Yoga is a sister science to Ayurveda. I love yoga. I've gone to yoga centers all throughout my life. Yoga is my yin to my yang because I love to lift and work out and I love HIIT training and cardio. But yoga is like the opposite. It's that way to decompress and unwind. When I turned 40 in 2020, I went and did yoga teacher training as my gift to myself. So that's how much I love my yoga practice and bringing yoga into people's lives as well. So I remember going to so many yoga events and everyone said to me, yeah, I juice it. I buy the juice shots. That's what I do. And I kept trying to explain to them, for what you're talking about, like you've quit lifting, you've quit working out, and you only do yoga because of how much your joints hurt, your juicing is not enough. It's not going to do the job. You are needing a much bigger firepower solution. You need this extinguisher of all extinguishers. Juice isn't going to cut it. Again, that's like orange juice when you're about to get the flu. It's probably not the source you're going to use to win at the flu. You're probably going to start high dosing a lot of great supplements. And so let's talk about what are the different things that juice does, because it's just so funny to me that people are like, I do my juice shots and it's enough. So the fresh shots that are out there, they're zippy, they're cool. I know that they're really, to me, they burn. I can't do turmeric ginger shots. It's like, it hurts. I think it's horrible. I know that they're enzyme rich, but the curcumin content per ounce in a juice shot is still modest. So it's a great habit, but just don't expect the same punch as a lab tested extract. It's a completely different ballgame when it comes to a shot versus a supplement. In a shot, you're taking turmeric root in its raw form, which is great. It's fresh. I believe in whole food, organic eating, all these ideas. But if I'm going to take that fresh turmeric and dry it into the spice, a lot of turmeric goes into the dried spice. The dried spice is actually pretty concentrated. That's the culinary turmeric we just talked about. And then the next level is to extract the 3 to 5% of curcuminoids from that turmeric. So one thing I love sharing is out of the entire turmeric plant, only 3 to 5% is the curcuminoids. And as of now, we have the most science on how those curcuminoids impact inflammation and our health. And so out of that 3%, how you extract the turmeric really matters. And a lot of people just do whatever's cheap and fast because this is the supplement world. And that's a business model that some people have. How do you think your turmeric costs 10 or 20 bucks? Do you think it was done really well? Do you think it was done with a lot of consciousness and intention for potency? No, it was done to get the cheapest result as fast as possible. Quality purchasing equals quality results. And I just want to highlight that, right? We know if we want to buy, let's say it's like a prom dress or something fancy, there's all sorts of ranges of stores you can go to. I own clothes. It's funny, I was cleaning a closet the other day. I own clothes that lasted me 10, 15 plus years now. And I'm like, why do I still have this dress? I should get rid of it. And I'm like, but it's so great. The quality lasts. It's doing its job in the same way. Hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I created Fusionary formulas because I believe everyone deserves a natural way to support their body's health. If you struggle with joint discomfort or stiffness, our Turmeric Gold delivers powerful curcumin in a form your body can truly absorb. It's science-backed with the highest quality ingredients and designed to support your body's natural inflammatory response. Take the next step in your health and wellness journey today. Visit FusionaryFormulas.com and use code Fusionary Health for 15% off. Fusionary Formulas, ancient wisdom, modern science, maximum impact. When it comes to supplements, there can be a huge level of quality difference. And so that 3 to 5% of curcuminoids that we are extracting for, this is what those tens of thousands of scientific studies are on, is that magical golden extract. How you extract the curcumin matters. What you use to extract it. The ratio of the curcuminoids when you give it back to someone, is it in proportion to Mother Nature or is it not? And that's the art, and that's the science, and that's the magic that I have been focused on for 10 years. And that's what makes the difference. And so a lot of people ask me, the next question I always get is, can't I just buy it on Amazon? It's just easier. My life is auto ship on Amazon. I have my monthly subscriptions. It's just easier, faster, one button purchase. I get it. I am a mother. 90% of my life, I feel like, comes from Target. Whatever can't is that last few percentage points comes from Amazon. I get it. I love convenience. I love Instacarting my groceries. But we can't always do that with supplements. Here's the thing. It's important to vet the labels. You need to look for a third-party testing. Is it made in a GMP certified factory? Are they clearly explaining the curcuminoid percentages on the label? Are they talking about 95% standardized curcumin, or are they not? Are they just giving you turmeric powder? Here's one thing that's really interesting. A lot of people over the last 10 years have sent me their curcumin labels. They're like, hey, I'm taking this turmeric. Is it a good one? And I'm like, at first, when I had just finished my PhD, I couldn't understand it because there's such a variation in labels. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, am I dumb? Or like, what's happening here? And so at that time, right after my PhD, I had met this incredible doctor who has a factory who's obsessed with quality supplements for doctors' offices. And so I sat down with him and showed him the labels, and we started discerning what was the difference. Here's what's interesting. A lot of supplements that people are buying and paying $20 for just says turmeric root extract, 500 milligrams. You're buying Culinary turmeric. You can go to any grocery store and buy it by the bag, buy it by the shaker bottle, and sprinkle that on your food. You don't have to take that in a capsule. It doesn't create such a huge taste. You can literally sprinkle turmeric on your food every day. Don't buy that supplement. Another option, people are showing me their supplements and they'll say curcuma longa, 500 milligrams. Curcuma and curcumin sound real similar. And these are not necessarily common words in our English language. Like a lot of people say curcumin because they know the word cumin. And I say curcumin. So again, language matters and it's confusing. Supplement labels can be really confusing. And so it took me a long time to realize turmeric root extract and curcuma longa, shockingly, is people putting regular turmeric powder in a pill. I'm sorry, that's not going to move the needle. Not enough for what you're looking for, not for what you want. What you're asking for is a change in your body. So you need to buy something that'll give you that change. Another thing I found astounding, which made me completely never, ever purchase from one supplement company. Again, I'm not going to name it because I think that's rude. But there was a supplement company that sold in health food stores. And when I checked the label, it was turmeric with curcumin. At least they mixed the two. No black pepper, no healthy fat. And I thought, you guys, it's called Google. This is so basic. You could Google best way to make turmeric absorb in the body, and it will say black pepper or healthy fat either. If you can't even Google that, why are you making a turmeric supplement? Like, that makes no sense. And that's been kind of one of my biggest frustrations is if you look at a lot of product lines, they throw a turmeric into the line. Why? Because it'll make money. If you're already going to go to X brand, I won't name it, but any X brand out there, and you're like, well, I like their glutamine and I like their probiotic and I like their, vitamin D and I like their whatever, out of their line, I'll just buy the turmeric. Unfortunately, I have learned over the years, working with so many practitioners, especially, I get to meet the best of the best functional medicine doctors and practitioners and holistic practitioners and integrative practitioners, pick their brains, learn from them. Everyone has their wheelhouse. That's what I've learned. My wheelhouse is turmeric. That's what I know. That's actually what I do the best. And I say that honestly to people. I own a turmeric supplement company. Now, from my product line, will you see other cool things? Yeah, because I get excited. I want to help you with your sleep. I want to help you with your menopause symptoms, whatever else I can find a solution to and create. I like to experiment with the super spices and create formulations and teas and cool solutions. But I'm very clear on what I know best. My PhD is on turmeric, and those formulations are what people come to us for, what they rely on us for. And so people ask me all the time, do I have to take it every day forever? I started taking your turmeric. I can tell very clearly that what I bought from Amazon or from a big box retailer or big box store is very different from yours. So I got it now. But do I have to take it forever? And I'm like, well, No, you don't have to sign a lifelong contract to take turmeric. Most people do a 90-day protocol, then they reassess. Hey, where are my symptoms? How do I feel? A lot of people take a week off and then they call me and they're like, whoa, I had no idea. I had no idea that so many aches and pains and stiffness and fatigue was coming from inflammation, and how your supplement was just holding me at feeling better and good overall. Then there's people who take it for their pain and their joint pain. And those people are like, I'm taking this every day forever. This is amazing. So it really depends on you and the solution you're looking for and the issue that you have. I'll take myself as an example. I take it for immune support. I need antiviral, antibacterial help all the time. And before, someone could sneeze next to me and I'd be bedridden the next week with the flu. I could take a flight. I could enter any group event conference and my system would take a hit and I'd have to recover. Now I don't. Now I just take extra turmeric and I'm like, I have my defense shield up. I'm good. That to me is priceless. I don't lose any time all year being sick. Knock on wood. I'm sure it could happen. But for now, I know how to constantly calibrate with turmeric and battle anything that could lead to sickness. Another way I use it, if I hurt myself, I just take my turmeric. I don't want to take other solutions that have nasty side effects. I don't believe in taking those unless I'm like at DEFCON 1. Let's say DEFCON 1 is the highest. I don't know. But if I'm like at my highest level, the other day I was flying and I felt like I got a migraine. I think I had eaten gluten that day by accident. My whole system was just melting down. And I was like, I need an Advil. I'm going to take one because I don't know how to function and get my kid out of this airport if I don't solve for whatever's happening. So I'm not crazy. I do believe in like when I need a medical solution, I'm going to reach for it. I will. But I'm going to reach for it 1% of the time compared to my previous self. My previous self, and many people I know in my life, will just pop a pill for every headache. I have a headache, pop a pill. I have a headache, I pop a pill. Now, whenever I have a pain, I'm like, where did that come from? What caused it? Do I have alternative tools to fix it? I get headaches. I start with hydration, electrolytes, caffeine. Do I need food, essential oils, rest? Maybe you need to rest. And I keep going down my list. And once, if nothing works, I try to just go to bed and start over the next day. But I always know where my line is with that. And that's really my invitation to people is know your line and try to move your line. Try to really shift into the natural solutions that exist. There's a lot of them that exist. Now, another cool question I get from people. What are the side effects? Like, what is the negative side effect of taking this thing forever? Well, generally, turmeric is gentle. Now, ultra high doses of turmeric, people take up to 8 grams a day. That's 16 of a 500 milligram capsule. That can cause some tummy upset. That can cause some GI upset, maybe some diarrhea if you really, really high dosed it. It can also thin the blood. Turmeric is a vasodilator. It thins the blood. It causes more blood flow through the system. Now, that's great for our hair, skin, and nails. People are always like, oh my gosh, your hair, your skin, your nails. I'm like, I think it's because I'm Indian and I'm blessed, but it could also be that I'm a turmeric lover, or that I'm obsessed with health on like 18 different levels. But when it comes to turmeric, we know that it increases nitric oxide in the system. We know that that blood flow is good in many ways. Now, if you're on a blood thinner, don't take turmeric. If you have gallbladder issues, check with your doctor. To be honest, with any supplement, if you're going to high dose it and you've got a lot of other issues going on, you should check with your practitioner. That's a caveat we should all make when it comes to those other health issues going on. Now, a lot of people ask me, can I take this and not change my diet or my habits? Like, can I just take this and it just works and I'll have no more joint pain and I'll be fine? You can, but the results will plateau. Turmeric's a helper. It's not a total hall pass. You can pair it with better sleep, eating a more plant-forward diet or a nutrient-rich diet full of phytochemicals, fiber, prebiotic foods, these kinds of things. You can eat fewer ultra-processed snacks and foods, and that can have a magic level synergy with turmeric to create the impact that you want. You see, turmeric is powerful. It is potent. Taking a curcumin supplement is a wonderful idea. But what I saw over the last 10 years is people take the supplement and they're like, I'm good. I can go do whatever I want. And here's the thing, it's human nature. I have noticed that within myself. I look for that pill that will just solve the problem. And I wish it was that easy. I do. I really do. But if we want true lasting change, we have to be willing to explore both sides of the equation. What is the quick tool? What's the hammer that's going to hammer that nail in and get the problem solved? And what do I need to do around it to make sure that the terrain, that our biology, that everything is working together synergistically to help that result get to the max result possible and then maintain that result? Both pieces matter. So I can give you an example. I've had a lot of people over 10 years who have pain, hip pain, knee pain, back pain, all sorts of pains. And taking turmeric can put that into almost a remission, like put it at bay. They're just good. They can function. They can walk up the stairs. They can move. It brings you back so much mobility and function, which I find extraordinary because that's quality of life, to be able to move and feel good while you move. Now, the same person, if they watch some of my videos on what are the main causes of inflammation, and they start to consciously limit those, not remove them, but we talk about sugar, alcohol, ultra-processed foods, seed oils, alcohol, I think I already said, gluten. If they just start to reduce those and start to see a profound shift, now we've got the opportunity to go deeper in our healing, deeper in our health. Then it's not just, okay, I'm taking it for this problem. It's truly supporting longevity and all the other things that I love to speak about. So that's what gets me really excited. Now, another FAQ question I get a lot is, well, what makes your formula better? How is it better? There's a lot of turmeric supplements out there, which is true. There's probably hundreds of them. So here's the thing. I combine medical grade curcumin with black pepper, and then I put it in the right ratio, like I said, of curcumin to deliver that potent result. Here's what's interesting. Over 10 years, it's been so beautiful to see. I have two main formulas I created, and people always ask me, which one should I take? Which one? Even my doctors ask me that all the time. Which one do I recommend to the patient and why? So turmeric gold is a great daily turmeric. You can take it every single day. It's a great daily supplement to take. Now, should you take it every day forever and ever? No. Everyone should cycle through with their supplements. Whether you take a few days off every month, a few days off every quarter, typically no one's perfect at taking their supplements, so that happens naturally. But yes, we shouldn't need to take a supplement forever unless we're running true deficiencies or dealing with certain major issues that we're looking to address with supplements. But I also created a second formula, and that one's called inflammation relief. And I made it because I knew that the ancient Ayurvedic wisdom showed that there's such power and research-backed solutions, and solutions is a strong word, but there's a lot of research behind boswellia, guduchi, dry ginger, amla, turmeric, black pepper added into a formulation in the correct ratios. And so I created that formula specifically for when you are inflamed, when you're like, oh, I need something now. I need it to work right now. That's what that solution is for. And so it's been interesting because as we advance in the world right now, supplements have also advanced a lot in 10 years. Now we do third-party testing, pre, mid, and post-production at a whole new level. Like the science is moving forward in a beautiful way. Batch testing on every single lot, ID testing, microbe testing, heavy metal testing, every testing we can do to be sure that what we're giving people we know is safe, clean, and good. And that is something I'm really proud of. To me, in the supplement world, I am very weary buying anyone else's supplements because I have a very deep understanding now of what it takes to make one and how easy it would be. It would be so easy for me to order inexpensive ingredients, use an inexpensive factory, throw it all together and give it to you. That's a really great way to build a highly profitable company. But that's not what I was after. I'm actually after how do you create the best solution possible so people feel really profound results. That's what I've been trying to do for 10 years. And so that's the difference that's out there with really high quality medical grade supplements built for functional medicine and for doctors' offices, because my doctors know what works and what doesn't. I've had doctors call me and they're like, hey, I was using this other line. They were great. That's why I never used yours. I was happy. And then all of a sudden it stopped working. My patients are all saying it's not working. I called the company to say, did you change something? Did you change an ingredient? Did you change a source? The company says they didn't change anything, but I know something changed. So I have to get rid of this stuff, and I'm using yours next. And I'm like, wow, I love that. Imagine the level of detail and understanding the practitioner has with their patients to be able to give feedback like that. That's incredible. So that's the world I live in that I get excited about. So here's another question I get. Should I trust these other big brands? I got that question just yesterday from an amazing colleague. They're like, yeah, what do you think about their turmeric? So I pulled up the label because I love a lot of the great companies out there. I go to Whole Foods, Sprouts, and the grocery stores to shop as well. I don't always buy my supplements there, but I will, in a bind, look around, and usually I'm like, nah, I'm going to go onto my big functional medicine websites and ask my practitioners which ones to take. But I've seen those lines forever. I'm not going to name them, but they're there. And honestly, many of them are excellent at what they started with. And oftentimes I don't know what that is because I'm only 45 and some of those companies are probably older than I am. But I think it's important to understand what are they great at and what are they not great at. Are they doing third-party testing? Are they using these standardized extracts? Are we using transparent dosing in our supplements? So I did pull up one yesterday and I was kind of shocked. I was like, that's a really great company. Like, I really admire that they own their farms and the way they work. So I admire the company, but this turmeric supplement is junk. What a waste. It's just turmeric powder. Please just sprinkle it on your chicken and call it a day if that's all you want to accomplish. You don't need to put it in a veggie cap and remember it in your supplement stack. Like, that's a bit much. And so that's where I think it's so important. Now, if you're watching this and you find me on Instagram, I'm at Dr.Shivani Gupta. You are welcome to send me a picture of your turmeric bottle and we can totally have a conversation. Anyone who's my friend or who's local in South Florida or who gets connected to me somehow as the turmeric girl, I have been doing that for years and I'm fascinated by it. I'm always like, what? How? Where? And I'm yet to find one that does things my way. That's okay though. I think there's so much room in the industry. I just created something that I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with turmeric. I'm obsessed with the power it can have. I'm obsessed with seeing how many different ways it applies to our health. I'm obsessed with speaking at medical conferences and sharing with doctors what it can do, how they can use it. That to me is the exciting work, is how do you keep moving that science forward and then continue to hold highest quality, highest potency to create support for people who want to take a great turmeric that actually does the job. And so that was kind of the FAQ questions I get the most. A lot of people share with me, they make a golden milk latte. They pick that up at their coffee shop. And I always say, please, if you're going to have a golden milk latte, get the full fat milk. So at least the fat is going to increase the absorption. Otherwise, if it's a skinny latte, you're wasting your time. At the health food store, I keep seeing orange juice with turmeric, tortillas with turmeric. I'm like, guys, if you have no healthy fat or black pepper, you're wasting all our time. And please don't give me sugar to give me turmeric. What a waste. Like, how silly. So it's interesting to watch how people are playing with it. Now, let's talk about some myth busters. Some people say all inflammation is bad. That's not true. Acute inflammation heals our wounds. Chronic inflammation is the villain. Some people say there's a myth out there that turmeric will just work instantly. The truth is, most people feel their joint or gut relief after 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. Sometimes it's 2 to 4 weeks. It just depends on you and your digestive system. I can't predict how fast you're going to feel it. Then a lot of people say to me, more is always better. I'll just take more of your stuff. And I'm always like, guys, above 2 grams daily, the benefits could plateau and your stomach might revolt. So really be careful if you're going to go above 2 to 3 grams a day. We know that up to 8 grams a day is safe. We've tested that in the population. It's in the scientific literature. But let's be reasonable. Let's not OD on everything in life just because we think more is better. Now, when it comes to turmeric alone can't replace lifestyle change. It's like fixing a roof leak while you're leaving all the windows open in a storm. You need both the repair and the prevention. And that's where I find turmeric as part of a great lifestyle plan is the best way to go. We know that chronic inflammation is the stealth root of modern illness. And we know that kitchen turmeric is good, but we know that standardized curcumin extract is therapeutic. Pair this spice with your better sleep, with stress relief, with real food. And you can grab my anti-inflammatory, I have a PDF checklist guidebook for you guys on my website where you can kind of understand better how in the inflammation guide you can approach inflammation from new directions to help reduce it and win at your health. So thank you guys for joining me today, hanging out at the breakfast table with me like I just did up in Philly. And if this chat lit up like a light bulb in your mind, text this episode to someone in your life who still pops pain pills like candy. That's a lot of people that you and I might know who could use a support to kind of reduce that. Just reduce. I'm not saying get rid of, but reduce that. So hit the follow button, leave a testimonial or a comment on this podcast. I love hearing y'all's feedback. I'm from Houston and I sometimes drop a y'all in here, but I love hearing y'all's feedback because when we understand how to upgrade our health and how to shift our health and how to win in our health, that's a completely different quality of life. That has been my obsession for almost 25 years. I was in college when I had these huge health scares in my life, and I realized, you know what? Without health and vitality, I have nothing. None of my dreams will come true. So to me, health is my first pillar in life, and then everything else comes after that. So keep your inflammation fires cool. Enjoy that warm coffee or tea that you're having right now. I'm a tea addict, if you know me well. And I'll see you next week on the Fusionary Health podcast. If you want more info on this podcast, on me, if you want any of my guides, just visit my website at shivanigupta.com and everything is there for you, including my new epic upcoming book, all about inflammation as well. So stay well, everyone, and I'll see you next week on the podcast. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.